In the last couple of weeks, we have all been receiving our property tax bills. Not only are these bills being delivered and have due dates 3 to 4 months earlier than normal, homeowners have been hit with massive tax increases. I have received several inquiries and felt that this informational video on property taxes would be helpful. The property tax system in Cook County is ridiculously complicated, but I will attempt to simplify it using the Village of Orland Park's levy as an example. All taxing bodies levy a fixed dollar amount of property taxes, which is represented by the pie shown here. Additionally, every property in the Village of Orland Park has an assessed value. Consider each of those properties a slice of the pie. All of those property values are totaled, and your property pays its proportion, or the size of your slice. This year, Orland Park decreased its tax levy by $491,870, or 3.44%. So the size of the pie is actually smaller. Additionally, the number of residential and commercial properties increased, so there are more slices in the pie. This leads us to the question that you are probably asking, which is, then how do our property taxes in the village go up? The reason is that your property value went up relative to the total value, therefore a higher proportion. The reason for this is that the Cook County assessor shifted the tax burden to residential homeowners, which I will show you with data from the recent tax bills. To begin with, it is important to note where the bulk of your taxes come from. The Village of Orland Park is only 5.6% of this year's tax bill, down from nearly 7% when I took office. The board's goal is to drive this down to 5% or less. Overall, about 80% of your tax bill comes from schools, elementary, high school, and community college, as well as the Fire Protection District. This is a representative tax bill. It happens to be mine, that had a 31% tax increase of nearly $4,000. The graph is the actual dollar amount of each taxing body, where you can see that the Village of Orland Park, for all we do, is far less than District 135, District 230, and the Fire Protection District. Below the graph, you will see the percentage increase from 2022 to 2023 on the top row, and the levy increase from each district at the bottom. You will notice that District 135 has the highest dollar increase, a 33% increase. You will also notice that only MWRD and the other Cook County taxing bodies went up more than this percentage. But these increases were way higher than the associated levy increases. If you go back to the pie that we discussed, how does this happen? If these taxes, or your taxes, are going up more than the levy, then somebody's taxes must be going down. In Cook County taxing body cases, the slices of the pie are from all of Cook County, so the Cook County assessor has clearly shifted the burden to Orland Park taxpayers. The highest increases were Cook County Public Safety and Health Services, which Orland Park residents use minimally but pay a lot to subsidize the rest of Cook County. The frustrating part for me is that the governor has blamed mayors, and the Cook County treasurer and assessor have blamed municipalities for these increases. The facts show that this is not true. The Village of Orland Park represents only 5.6% of your tax bill and only 3.8% of the increase. In fact, in spite of being a smaller part of the tax bill, MWRD and Cook County Public Safety increase more than the village. Almost 2/3 of the increases come from schools. In fairness, the treasurer did point this out as well, but she ignores Cook County's increase, which is 13%. This brings me back to the levy. I will focus here on local levies, not the ones that span all of Cook County. You will see that only 2 taxing bodies decreased their levies, and the others all increased the property tax they levied by over 4%, with District 135 raising their levy 7.82% compared to 4.72% at D230 and 4% at D146. The other grade school district, 140, lowered their levy by 0.75%, while the Village of Orland Park lowered ours by 3.44%, as I previously said. This brings me back to the question of how does a property tax bill go up 31% when the highest levy is up less than 8% and the average levy increase is less than 5%? The reason is that the Cook County assessor shifted the tax burden to homeowners in the south and southwest suburbs. The graph on the left shows the aggregate tax increase for each taxing group. You can see that the total tax increase for Chicago is 2.85% and the north and northwest suburbs 4.1%. Meanwhile, the south and southwest suburbs increased by 9.36%. It is clear that the assessor shifted the burden of taxes to the south and southwest suburbs. Within the south and southwest suburbs, single-family homes went up almost 16%, while commercial properties dropped 12.6% and multifamily properties dropped 7.5%. It is clear that within the south and southwest suburbs, the assessor shifted the tax burden to homeowners. That includes seniors on fixed incomes. The graph on the right shows the total dollar value of the increases as well. Overall, 55% of the Cook County property tax increase is being paid by the homeowners in the south and southwest suburbs. The Cook County assessors and his cronies on the Board of Review put the burden on homeowners, period. These graphs make it obvious what happened with this tax bill. But otherwise, why have property taxes been systemically high in Illinois and in Cook County? The state of Illinois is the biggest reason for our property tax burden. For decades, and especially the last 6 years, the state has been spending uncontrollably and passes a lot of that burden onto local government taxing bodies. For example, pensions. We know that ridiculous public sector pensions are crushing the state. There was an improvement put into law in 2011 called Tier 2, but even that fix is under attack. Next is the Local Government Distributive Fund. I have spoken about this at length. Historically, until 2011, municipalities received a 10% sharing of income tax receipts. That dropped below 6% for a period of time and have since been restored to slightly over 6%. To put this in real dollars, Orland Park has been shorted over $50 million since 2011 and expects to receive about $5.5 million less this year than we should. Unfunded mandates. The state passes mandates for municipalities, schools, fire districts, park districts, etc. that must be implemented and paid for, but does not provide the funding needed to pay for them. Some of these include body-worn cameras, paid leave, minimum wage mandates, healthcare mandates, and mandates on schools including staffing and social services that are not education related. The next is local government preemption. This is when the state implements policies that preempt our local government authority and are another form of unfunded mandates. The one that is particularly galling is funding benefits for non-citizens. Since Governor Pritzker has taken office, this amount has skyrocketed to over $1 billion a year for health, housing, and education benefits for non-citizens at the expense of our citizens. Also, the state school funding formula really impacts the schools. This formula under the current administration shifts money towards Chicago Public Schools and the Chicago Teachers Union. While Orland Park schools receive approximately 8% of their funding from the state of Illinois, the Chicago Public Schools receive over 25%. As mayor, I can assure you that the current village board is doing what we can regarding property taxes. We lowered our levy, as you have seen, and I continue to work with other mayors to lobby the state to fully fund our local government distributive fund and to be more fiscally responsible. Unfortunately, since we represent only 5.6% of your tax bill, we don't have an oversized impact. However, given that the Cook County Assessor's Office is blaming municipalities when residents called, I felt it was important to give you the facts. This year's property tax increase lays at the feet of one person and one person only, the Cook County Assessor. The systemic problem of high property taxes largely lies with the state. So what can you do to help lower your property taxes? Make sure that your assessment is correct. Also, make sure that you are receiving your homeowner's exemption and any other exemptions that you may qualify for, including your senior exemption. Appeal your assessment. Though I will tell you that residential homeowners are seeing much more limited success with this than in past years, you should still give it a try. As you can see from my property tax bill, I feel your pain, as does every village board member. We are all committed to doing whatever we can to run the village efficiently and keep your property taxes low. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that this was informative.